been really positive for the clients that I work with to also address that piece, not just do the practical side of money. I feel like it's often sort of overwhelming. And I think our industry does not do a great job of making it less so.
Welcome to the Self-Made Life Podcast, the show for creative entrepreneurs who are building their dream business and life on their terms. I'm your host, Ashley Wyatt, designer, entrepreneur, mama of two, and founder of the Monarch Design Co. And I believe success isn't handed to you, you create it. Here, we're pulling back the curtain on what it really takes to run a business, the wins, the lessons, and the messy in between. Whether you're scaling your side hustle during nap time, redefining your brand, or ready to take your business full time, this show is your go-to for honest conversations, practical strategies, and inspiration to help you grow with confidence. Because being self-made isn't about doing it alone. It's about building a life and business that feels as good as it looks. So let's dive in. Welcome back to the Self-Made Life Podcast. I'm your host, Ashley Wyatt from the Monarch Design Co. And today I have a very special guest with me, Paula Wilimek from Wilimek Financial. So excited to have you and talk all about money, mindset, and how you can make your money work harder for you, especially as an entrepreneur or business owner. Before we dive in, we always like to start these episodes with a boss or bust. So sharing something that you're proud of or something that didn't quite go as planned from this past week. So, Paula, do you have a boss or bust?
From this past week, is that what you asked?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So yes, I do. Such a great question. Okay. So I am really proud of the fact that I finally, after many years, to be honest, uploaded all of my videos to have an online course that I used to do in person and then on Zoom called Money School. And so I uploaded all my videos finally to Teachable so it can be an online platform. The best part is I don't know, you have those days where you just cannot seem to get things done. I had those days, which I've been an entrepreneur now for almost 20 years. In September, it'll be 20 years. But I still find those incredibly frustrating.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah, I know. I don't let myself off the hook, though, even after 20 years, It's ridiculous.
But good for you. That's so exciting.
Yes.
For your course.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
Yeah. Heard lots about the course. So if you want to be schooled by Paula and learn all about money and financial literacy, definitely check it out. We will link everything, so don't worry. Boss or bust? I have both. So yesterday I had a VIP day, and although it went really well, I felt very foggy through it. Loved the outcome though, which is amazing. And then my boss is I was able to get both kids to nap at the same time and had some peace and quiet and was able to work a little bit.
That's amazing.
That is a win.
Yeah. That's like the universe, giving you a big win.
It's a solid nap. They both nap for 2.5 hours.
That's amazing. My kids never did that. So that's, incredible.
Well, let's dive in. So, Paula, tell us who you are, what you do, and your story into entrepreneurship.
Sure. So yes, as Ashley noted in the intro, my business is called Wilimek Financial. I know, very creative, being my last name and everything. And yeah, I've been a financial advisor now for, as I said, almost 20 years. And I started with a big corporation, which is no longer. I started with Freedom 55, and they had great training and all of the things. But I just found, especially initially working in the industry yes, it was 20 years ago. So I get that I don't get that there was very few female advisors, but I felt then, as I still do now, that there's a huge gap between how men and women deal with money. Not bad or good necessarily, just different. So I really felt like the way that we were learning how to be financial advisors and executing it really was leaving out so much out of the sort of conversation around money, and namely that about money mindset. So when I really went out on my own and became a broker, meaning I could, offer anything that was in the Canadian marketplace to my clients, I also added in the money mindset piece because I was just like, I relate to this. There's got to be other people that do too. And I've really found, especially with female clients, as you can imagine, being female, I relate well to other women. It really has sort of, I just feel like it's been really positive for the clients that I work with to also address that piece, not just do the practical side of money. I feel like it's often sort of overwhelming. And I think our industry does not do a great job of making it less so. So I feel like that piece really sort of marries the two well, if that makes sense.
I think a lot of people are not literate with money, right? Which is why you do your money school course, which we'll talk a little bit more about too. But they don't teach us this in school. So nobody knows, right? And we often take on our family and like ancestral mindset around money, right?
100%.
Which is either good or bad. So,
yeah, often not great, right? We sort of absorb things from the ether, I like to say, like from our family of origin that we often aren't even conscious of. And I think just sort of dismantling that and saying like, wait, that's bullshit. Sorry, can I swear? That's okay? Okay. Or this isn't something I really believe, and just sort of identifying where it comes from. That awareness is so powerful to be able to be like, no, we're gonna need a different mindset here for sure.
Yeah. And it's all about like working through those mindsets and rewiring those beliefs, which we really went through actually like on Monday on our Rich Girl Summer call, which I would love to chat more about. So, I've been doing Rich Girl Summer. I'm like in round 2 and I've been loving it. And this is where we dive deep into money mindset. What role do you think that like money mindset really plays when it comes to managing your finance, especially as a business owner?
I mean, correct me if I'm way off here, but I feel like it's so paramount. Like, I feel like if we're not addressing that, it makes it really tough to be, a successful entrepreneur anyway, especially as a woman. I mean, and that's the only perspective I have. So that's the only thing I can go on. But I really feel like, I see so many business owners struggle with like just the business side, meaning like pricing their services out, asking for money, asking for the sale, like all of those things. And I'm like, if we can get past our own barriers, like how powerful and successful can we really be? And that's really exciting for me. When I see women in particular go like, right, like why not me? It's like, yeah, exactly. Why not you? Like let's move forward and be wildly successful entrepreneurs.
And I find this so fascinating because I feel like women are literally the main drivers in our economy. They're the main decision makers. They're the main family financial spenders, right?
Yep, we are. Statistics don't lie, right? We're mostly making the money decisions behind the scenes, yet I think many women still don't feel like they have the decision-making power. I mean, my family of origin, my mom stayed home with us until I was 18, which, I know was a gift. I'm so close with my mom and we have an amazing relationship. However, what she also, I guess, taught me on some level was that if you're not making the money, you don't have any decision-making power, which really, again, wasn't true. She was the one running the household, which we both know, like household management is a big deal. People have that title and that job for a reason, but that has been detrimental to me in being a business owner. And I love my mom. I know that was never intentional, but it's just been an interesting thing for me to be aware of and to have to dismantle in my own money mindset journey.
Yeah. It's so crazy how our ancestral like patterns and beliefs shift our own beliefs now, because the same thing. My mom worked a lot and she was a workaholic, and now I'm very cognizant of like, I don't want to work so much that my kids think that, right? I love my mom and that's what she did to give us the life that we had. It's just crazy how we put that on ourselves based off of like past stories.
Absolutely. And I think that's the point of us, getting older and having our own families. It's not to necessarily be critical of how it was growing up, just to be aware and to be like, okay, what do I want? We're going to learn more and do better, essentially.
Yeah. So how can someone kind of begin to shift their money mindset if they're feeling stuck in this like feast or famine cycle, especially as an entrepreneur?
That is such a massive question. It's a great one, though. It's great. I think, first off, awareness of money in your family of origin. So if there was like a particular mantra that was said over and over, become aware of that and really ask yourself, like, is this what I want to believe? Is this actually true? And I think what I see people struggle with that one is like a lot of bullshit is said about money in our culture, right? Like there's never enough money. Oh, this economy's bad. Everything's so expensive. And I mean, I'm not saying that's not true. However, we don't need to make that mean that we can't still be successful entrepreneurs and humans. So I think awareness of that is paramount. And then I think really then going into your own behaviors around money. I know, a little icky, but this is the work, I think nothing changes if you don't analyze that and change. So, really looking at your own behaviors, what you do and don't want to be doing. And those two things together will really determine the amount of money that you're making out there in the world.
Yeah, that's so true. So let's talk real numbers. So we've been working together and you've been helping me gain more clarity on cash flow and projections, especially for my business. What are some of the first steps that you would recommend someone take to make more sense of their finances?
Not be scared of the numbers. So I think there is absolutely a time for you to offload those duties. Like, for instance, like where the money is, you need to know where your expenses are, where your money's going, and where it's coming from. So doing that tracking is really important, and to review it, depending on your business and who you are, excuse me, every couple of weeks, every month, just to go through the numbers. I think why I see people shy away from doing that is that the numbers mean something about them personally. And we have to take the person out of that. It just is what it is. And it's really like you're doing sort of like a health check of your business rather than sort of just I don't know, putting your head in the sand and being like, we're going to look at this at the end of the year when I have to file my taxes. So I think just looking at that, knowing what your numbers look like. And if you can't make sense of it and you're really feeling like, okay, why do I feel like I never make enough money? Because on paper, it looks like I do. Then it might mean meeting with someone like me to take you through that and to really sort of have a different sort of unbiased perspective, right? Because I think, and I don't know if you suffer from this, but like women in particular, I find if something doesn't go well in their business, they make it mean something about them personally. And it really isn't. It's just like, hey, you launched a course and you told one person about it. Of course it didn't. You know what I mean? Like, I think we have to really look at like, okay, well, how much did I put in is going to result how much I put out. It's just numbers rather than it's because people don't like me. You know what I mean? I don't know do you suffer from that too?
Yeah. And something that my past coach recommended I do is you need to talk about it more to the point where you annoy yourself.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, especially that's hard on socials.
Yeah, because you're literally just like shouting to the wind and hoping that the algorithm picks up on it.
Right. Yeah. And you're like, oh my gosh, people are going to be so bored of me talking about this. But really, it's like how many people actually see it.
Yeah. It's crazy. No, I love that, especially like the tracking piece. I used to have pre-kids. I need to start doing this again, but I used to have like money dates. So I would go through all of my finances. I still do track roughly like what's coming in just in like a Google sheet.
Okay.
Because what you focus on grows.
Mm-hmm.
But have you ever heard of Lakshmi?
No.
So a past coach introduced me to Lakshmi, and she is the Hindu goddess of wealth, fortune,
So I know
prosperity.
that version of Lakshmi, but I was for some reason like being like, is this a like software program I haven't heard of? That's what my assumption was. Okay, yes, I've heard of Lakshmi. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And abundance. Yeah. So I literally I found like a Lakshmi like mantra playlist on Spotify, and I would put this on and I would chant her mantra, whatever. And I would go through like my money. And honestly, like those were like my best like months and years. I need to get back into it, but it just goes back to show that what you focus on grows, and getting real with the numbers and not being afraid, and like start
Yes.
track and really like be mindful of like what's coming in.
I love that you brought that back to mindset, because like I always love to say, and I mean, I didn't make this up, but like what you appreciate appreciates. So, that can apply to money. So if we're looking at and being grateful for the money we have made, or it's so incredibly powerful.
Yeah. There's a book that I recently read through a book club that I was a part of through the Social Goddess, which is like a local group here. But the book was Think and Grow Rich.
Yep.
Have you heard of that one?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did the audiobook. I feel like I probably would have benefited more from like the physical copy. I found the audiobook really hard to read, listen to, but it's all about like gratitude and focusing on gratitude, and gratitude helps you grow and rich and whatever. So
I love that. I feel like it's so true. I want to read that now. I have heard of it before, but I think it's like, you need those reminders to go back and read stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay. For someone who isn't good with numbers, where would you say is a gentle starting place with understanding their business finances? Would you say like tracking?
100%. And it doesn't need to be, as you know, it doesn't need to be complicated. You don't need to buy a new software or assume that Lakshmi is a software. It really can just be like, hey, I have a Excel spreadsheet that I input things into. As an entrepreneur, can I also talk about, it's not my app, but I use, as an iPhone user, I use the Lucky Bitch app. It is free, and it just tracks all of your income, which I love as a business owner, because I feel like we focus so much on the expense side, but also to see the income that you are bringing in is really, really powerful. Like, like for my business, I might get paid on a renewal of something, and it might be like $11. And like, historically I would have been like, ugh, that sucks. But when you see all of your income in one place, you're like, oh, this is really powerful. And the app can also track like the value of things. So let's say Ashley took me out for coffee. I would also put the value of the coffee into the app, because there's so many things like that happen that I think we discount as income to us, right? Which is so amazing.
Yeah. I love that. I had the app, and then I ran out of storage. So I'm going to get it back again, because last week when we were talking about that, it made me more mindful of like, okay, it's not necessarily about the numbers coming in. It's also, even time being currency too. Like we had grandparents stop by on their way home from the cottage and brought us dinner. So that's huge. I don't have to cook.
Yeah.
And I don't have to waste time.
Yeah. So I would be like, put it in the app. You got to put that in as value, right? Because those are invaluable things that happen to us in our lives, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely check out the app. I will link it in the show notes too. So how do you help clients create projections that actually feel achievable? Just like a scary spreadsheet.
Yeah. Well, I think the biggest thing with projecting out is, what clients' goals also are. I think the biggest, or the kind of issue that people have with projections is when it just feels like a giant jump. Yes, they want to go there, but they're like, but how do I fill this gap? So I think it's also, I come up with things that we can do to fill the gap. It's not just best of luck, here's my projections for you, here's how you can do this, but it's also like a list of, I think, I know what your offerings are and how much they would bring in income wise. So let's map out, okay, this month, if you did this, this, and this, and had this many clients, that's what that could look like. So then it's just reverse engineering what you also already offer, to make sure you are doing the marketing and things like that behind it, right? Because I think that's what we fail to implement sometimes is like, well, why is my business slow? Well, tell me what you did 30 days ago. Tell me what you did 45 days ago. That's going to dictate why you're slow right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that was probably my biggest like pain point, especially like coming back from maternity leave. I got so down on myself because I was not busy, but I literally just had a baby.
Yeah.
And I wasn't marketing. I was busy nursing and feeding and healing and all the things. But since getting back on the horse and doing the doing and planting the seeds, now I'm seeing some of those starting to grow and flourish. It does take time, but it works when you put in the work.
And I think the doing coupled with you know, having gratitude and like the gratitude for the things you're manifesting, like that's a really powerful combo because you can't have one without the other. You know, we can't just sit and be like, I really wish that this will happen. Okay, I'm going to go watch TV. No, it's like the combo of I really want this to happen. And now I'm taking aligned actions behind it to get there.
Yeah. I always see these kind of like seasons in life where I fall off of my, I guess, like morning routine and my gratitude and stuff. And then as soon as I get back on it, like things start to happen. So like these things work. And I don't know about you, Paula. I used to write everything down like in a journal, but now I don't have time for that. No. Sometimes it's like literally putting on a meditation just on in the background and listening to it while I'm nursing Charlotte in the morning and writing it down like in my notes app 100%. On my phone. So it doesn't have to be like this big crazy thing where you're like lighting a candle and whatever, all moody and stuff. Like it can literally be like just setting that intention for like 5 to 10 minutes
and having it work having it work in the background for you. Like even like you can find so many amazing things on Spotify, like abundance frequency music.
I love the frequencies.
Yeah, me too. I'm a big fan. And then just go on with your day. And they're actually easy to work through. Like you're not like distracted by it, which my brain is very easily distracted. So, and you know what I always say to people too, and I know you've heard me talk about this, is I do affirmations on my way to and from the gym. And that's my affirmation time, you know, whether I want to or not, but it's like my dedicated time to that. So it doesn't need to be like, it takes me 8 minutes to get to the gym each way. And that's what I do at that time.
Yeah. There is also this app. They've recently rebranded. So they were called Superhuman before, and now they're called Activations. Mm-hmm. And there's a whole bunch of like these different like tracks. So there's some of them that are like seated meditations, walking meditations while you're getting ready for the day, or like doing your makeup or eating. There's a lot more of that where you don't have to sit down and close your eyes and be in a quiet, dark room. You can literally do them on the go, which I love.
I love that. Yeah. Because like lives don't work like that. That I'm like, oh, and then I meditate for 30 minutes. It's like,
and nobody has
what?
Time.
Yeah. I'm like, who does? Like, I'm like, how? I'm like, if you have some sort of a skill to do that, amazing. But I don't have that time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like you're obviously so passionate about education and empowering women with financial literacy and money mindset. Why do you think this is especially important in the entrepreneurial space?
I think in particular, when it's your own business, it's all on you. And the only way I can describe it is like, you really have to deal with your own shit when you're when you're an entrepreneur, right? You're not just and not that I'm by no means faulting people that get a paycheck every 2 weeks. Good for you. You have a lot less stress. But when you're in that arena, being an entrepreneur, you really have to deal with your own stuff, right? Whatever that looks like. So if you don't have any money blocks, which if you don't, please come see me because I would love to interview for my podcast because that would be amazing. But, you have no choice. So you have to really like do that deep work to say like, okay, why am I giving people an automatic discount when they're interested in my services? When you're really like, I need to make more money or whatever it is, you have to look at that rather than just keep doing the same thing. You really have to deal with it.
Totally guilty for that, but we're working through it.
Yeah, I know we are. Yeah. That's why we talk about it, right? That's why we do Rich Girl Summer. So we can all benefit from it.
Yeah. So aside from the Lucky Bitch app, what other tools or resources, either books, podcasts, even your podcast, or apps that you recommend for someone who wants to feel more empowered with their money?
There's so many. It depends on, I guess, the stage people are at. So I am a big fan of Amanda Francis. I know you've read her book too, Rich as Fuck, which is such a great name. You have to read it just on that. She's just a great, very empowering around money mindset coach and mentor. I think also just dipping your toe in educating yourself, whatever that looks like. If it's taking a course, if it's meeting with a financial advisor, if it's Googling things or asking ChatGPT about things, right? Whatever that looks like, I think just making yourself take the baby steps. It doesn't matter. A step is a step. That's what I would say. I really am a big fan also of Denise Duffield Thomas.
Never heard of.
She's the creator of the Lucky Bitch app. She also has written some amazing books, which I cannot remember right now, of course. There's one in particular that I know was really great. Sorry, Ashley. Hopefully you can tag them at the end because this is my perimenopausal brain just being like, you got nothing. But her books are also really good and really relatable. She also is on Instagram, which I find her posts really great too.
I'm going to look her up and I'm going to re-download that app and start tracking.
Yes, can't wait to hear about it.
Before we wrap up, I always love to do like a lightning round. So this or that, but I'm switching things up this time around. So just like fun, actionable. So kind of like the first thing that comes to mind.
Okay, I'm ready.
So what is one money move you think every entrepreneur should make?
Definitely going in the mindset of invest in your business. So setting money aside to invest in our business and labeling that money like an FU account.
What is one myth about financial advisors that you want to bust?
Oh, that's a really good question. Okay, so first up, I would say that it costs you money to meet with a financial advisor. Typically, it does not, but that's a fair question to ask, but it should not be a barrier to you finding and hiring one.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
What is one non-negotiable in your personal money routine?
Okay, I would say the affirmations. Because like you have said, you're like, when I was doing this, same thing. I did it like a couple of days ago. And I was like, when I was doing that was actually, things were going well. Yeah. So I would say the same thing. Those affirmations to and from the gym are key for me.
I love that. And a rich girl summer mantra or affirmation that you've been loving lately?
Oof, there are so many. And I'd say that though, because like yes, I am facilitating, but like you guys add so much incredible stuff. I think the prompts that we utilize for ChatGPT have been chef's kiss, right? Like just so powerful. I think just the future you planning, because I think that's what's so key about shifting things for money mindset is actually embodying the changes. Sometimes we can't see it. So having AI help us to see that is so powerful. Does that answer that for you? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It's honestly so crazy. And I just love the chat. Like the chat is just like popping off. And I love like hearing everyone's like what they're going through and working through too. I think that's so powerful. And not only to like know that you're not alone, but hear other people are dealing with too. And the future self journaling is so powerful. Like I'm literally like sitting in my office and like looking at the playroom that I envisioned in November from my future self journaling. And I was also like envisioning like Tane like doing hybrid work from home type of thing. And like now he's in that role. And the last piece was like childcare. And right now our son is in daycare 3 days a week. But now that Charlotte is getting bigger and like more aware and stuff, I'm starting to think about childcare for her. And I don't necessarily want to put her in daycare. She's so little. But in my meditation, I had a nanny and now we're interviewing nannies. And it's just so crazy because it's something that like past me was like writing about. And I didn't think that was doable, but now it's like happening.
Yeah. I love that.
Like
that's the amazing thing, right? It's like this stuff it's not even on your radar that now you get to like live into.
Yeah. And I think that's important too. And being really specific in future self journaling, because you don't want to settle for things. I settled for my car at first, and then there was major like problem and leak, and the universe was like, nope, this is not your car. And then the universe brought me my white RAV.
Love that. So the universe calls you on your bullshit.
Yeah.
Love that. Amazing.
Definitely works. Thank you so much, Paula, for coming on the show. Before we wrap up, what is one small step that our listeners can start implementing today to take control of their money and future?
I think first up, have an FU or a cash cushion. An FU account is a real thing, especially if you're an entrepreneur, right? That you can take advantage of an opportunity. I just like to, I'm rebranding an emergency fund because who wants to save for an emergency? But yeah, even having $1,000 cash cushion can be really powerful to give you opportunities and options that you might not have had. And I think too, also looking at and actively having a plan around debt is also really key.
I love that. Amazing. Well, where can our listeners find you and connect with you and work with you online? All the things.
Okay.
Plug away.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. This has been wonderful. I would say I'm active quite a bit on Instagram. So you can find me at Paula_Wilimek. If you get through that, kudos. But if you get a few letters into Wilimek, you will find me with my giant curly hair. You can also find me at www.wilimekfinancial.com is my website, and you can contact me and book all of the free meetings with me there.
Amazing. Awesome. And I will link all of this in the show notes. So definitely check that out. I will also be linking Paula's podcast, Friends with Money. So definitely take a listen to those as well. Thank you so much, Paula.
Thank you, Ashley.
Thanks so much for hanging out with me today on the Self-Made Life podcast. If you loved this episode, share it with a friend, leave a review, or hit follow so that you never miss an episode. Want to work together or grab some free resources? You can always find me over at www.themonarchdesign.co/podcast. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep building, and go create your self-made life.